What is going on, guys? This is Jay Kraft with the Facebook group Bollerama Pickers Lounge, coming at you again live from beautiful Bakersfield, California. Today is February 17th, 2019, and boy, oh boy, do we have a big show in store for you tonight. We're going to be taking a look at some layoffs that are affecting eBay employees across the board and some of the things that they're looking to do to cover up the actual numbers. A little bit of deceptiveness going on there. And also one of the CEOs who was let go too. We're going to be hearing just a little bit more info about him. We're also going to be taking a look at some massive glitches that have affected Etsy sellers. And it's pretty crazy exactly what happened. If you didn't hear about it, you're definitely going to want to stay tuned in for that. On top of that, we're going to be taking a look back by request at some of the Facebook posts that landed on our Facebook Bollerama group. So if you're not a member of that, we'll get you some details for that here in a little bit. On top of that, we have a special guest interview, a pre-recorded interview with Scott Zilke, the man himself, retail arbitrage specialist and founder of the Reseller Fortunes Facebook group. So we're going to be taking a look at all of that. And on top of that, we can't forget our lovely show sponsor, Prairie Grit, down here below for sponsoring our show. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty wild ride tonight, and I want to start off by thanking everyone who is here for the first time. I know there's a lot of you who have never seen my show, don't know much about me, but you're here for the first time. I want to thank you. I want to tell you how special it makes me feel that you've chosen to be here with us tonight, be a part of our family that we have growing, and enjoy and partake in the fun that is learning about e-commerce and learning about some news in the world of reselling. And I forgot to mention this, we're going to be taking a look at some of the items that I picked up this week. Now, forgive me. The weather out here is a little bit crazy right now, but I want to give a big thank you to everyone. Man, we got a lot of people in tonight. We got Joe, we got Perfect Finds, which is Callie, Roger Kieserling, Cora, Nevermore Antiques, and I know I saw a few others earlier. Obviously, we have Mindy and Pam, our admins for this evening. Always our admins. Love them so much. And we have a couple other new people who came in earlier, but thank you to everyone who joined in. Thank you to everyone who hit that like button. Boy, does that actually help out a ton. When people click on that like button, it really helps this channel push forward, helps people see our content. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure you take a moment to subscribe to our channel. It really, really does help out. We got the comments coming in already. Good evening from Florida, taking some needed vacation time, using my time wisely. Believe it or not, we have a couple other people that are vacationing in Florida from our group right now. So maybe you can, cross paths with some other resellers, make some new friends, have a good little time. So I thought it would be very fitting to start out this week's show and let you guys know a little bit about who we are and what we do. Because like I said, there's a bunch of people here for the first time. Our job is to produce a really high quality show that dispels a lot of reseller myths that you're going to hear in other groups. Now, I'm not targeting any groups in particular. I'm not trying to talk trash on anyone, but there's a lot of groups out there that allow bad information to propagate, and it becomes a risk to other sellers, or they start hearing some conjecture, things like refreshing listings, for instance, and it creates this really, really dangerous pattern. And in some situations, doing the wrong things can actually get people sued. We talked about that on a different show during the week. So that's something that we're going to be definitely talking more about later. But our goal is basically to help the everyday reseller. We're not looking to really work with people who are earning $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year. Maybe they're doing some type of drop ship operation, or they're importing goods, or they have their own private labels. Basically what we do is we work with the people who enjoy going to yard sales, thrift stores, posting ads online, finding great deals, and flipping things for a profit. Or the people who just want to hear the news. Maybe they want to hear some gossip about Bezos, like we talked about last week. There's a little more about that going on too, but that's basically what we do. And the entire show that we have, it's all Patreon sponsored, which we'll chat about a little bit later. But yeah, we have a whole lot of fun, and our show usually runs anywhere between 1 to 2 hours. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. And like I said, Patreon sponsored, and I want to give a big thank you to our newest patron, Joseph Barker, actually coming back. He took a little bit of time off. He's been restructuring his brand, and he's come back again, and we're so happy to have him back again. And also an extended thank you to anyone who was a patron in the past who supported the show at any time. We appreciated your contribution. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get into the bulk of the show. Oops, sorry about that. So this is our little patron thank you slide that we put up, and we'll be coming back around. Like I said, we'll come back around to it later. But the first story that's happening, so we have some big layoffs happening at eBay again. I put a little bit of a timeline off to the side so you guys could better understand exactly what is going on. But all the way back in 2008 in October, we saw eBay lay off about 1,600 employees. And if we push a little bit further forward to July of 2018, we saw them drop about another 300 employees. Now, this was predominantly in, believe it or not, in the San Jose area. We just had a comment come in from an iRivas. The iRivas, maybe? But yes, so we did see a lot of layoffs happening in the San Jose area, and it's just been reported as of this week that eBay is doing another round of layoffs. It's very, very interesting, the timing as this is happening, because we talked about the Elliott management letter just a couple of weeks back and the amount of pressure that was being put on eBay. We even saw the pressure being so heavy that Devin Wenig himself, CEO of eBay, during the Q4 shareholder call, didn't even want to comment on the Elliott management letter. But the long story short of it, one of the things that really stood out is he was talking about how much money was just being wasted on, just basically waste at the top. Labor cost as well, administrative, it's R&A. I can't remember what the R stands for, but the A stands for administrative. And the administrative cost for eBay are about 10 times the cost of another company within the same sector. But those other companies are actually growing faster. They have a higher velocity than eBay actually has. So, yeah. So eBay's in a position again now where they actually have to let some people go. Now, the number of people is still somewhat in the air. The numbers that they're putting out and they're telling people, they're trying to tell people it's around 400. But we've actually gotten comments in from people who are working at different facilities around the world. We were able to research some of this data and find that the numbers might actually be a lot taller than that. And on top of that, a lot of these people who were let go without notice. Basically, employees came into work the next day and they saw in certain sectors, certain places that they were working at, that as much as half of the staff that was within their building, their desks were simply empty. So it was an all of a sudden thing for a lot of people. And one of the biggest layoffs that we saw was Scott Cutler, who was a former president of StubHub who got moved over to the American marketplace. He left the platform as well. Now, details as far as why he left are a little bit up in the air, but I thought that this time more than ever, it would be important to understand who's actually leaving the company, because sometimes, like if we say that a Devin Wenig, if we were to say that he was to leave the company, we'd be like, oh, well, yeah, that kind of makes sense. I kind of see why that would happen, trimming the biggest fat first right off the top. But this Scott Cutler guy, I kind of like him. We're going to take a look at a 3.5-minute clip that was aired on CNBC in the end of 2018, right around November, where he was on air speaking about eBay and the market and the climate for eBay. And you'll see he's quite the salesman, whether people want him to be or not.
Yesterday was actually a surprising day. You saw the numbers, $3.5 billion of online sales yesterday. Most of that was happening on a mobile device. Everybody is searching for the best deals today. And as you just reported, things like a Samsung TV, Apple branded products, a Nintendo Switch are things that people and consumers are searching to find. And the best deal available is actually on eBay, guaranteed.
Okay. In terms of product type, though, that you've seen being sold, what do you think the hottest item is going to be? Or not necessarily item, but items over the weekend?
Yeah, branded items are hot. The top searched item was an Adidas Yeezy Boost. We're selling a pair of shoes every couple of seconds. Monopoly for millennials in the toy category has been very popular. Toys in general this holiday season is something that's really exciting. For the first time, we launched our own toy book in Toytopia, and we're trying to highlight those things that are rare, that are retro, and that are right now. You can buy a Magic the Gathering card for $100,000 or original 1987 Transformer set. But you can also find those things that today, like a Funko Pop doll, that are really difficult to find. Those things everyone's searching around and trying to find that perfect toy for the holidays.
Right. What's not working right now?
I think for us right now, we're really just trying to show up for the consumers for the best deals. It's a highly competitive environment. We're competing incredibly against all the retailers, and you have to remember that eBay is the number 2 e-commerce player. We'll sell more in online sales than Walmart, Macy's, and Best Buy combined. So it's an extremely competitive environment, and for the consumer, they want to come to a site and know that they're getting the best deal. And as you just cited, Getting it very quickly and free are the themes that we have to play through the holiday season.
What kind of price point are we talking about? Average price point on eBay right now?
It really depends on the product. That Samsung TV is a hot item. Today we've got in the watch category from the ultra luxury to a 10% off on a Rolex watch to about $200 for a Citizen Blue Angel. Across all categories, we've got an amazing array of price points from the low ASP items to the high ASP items. And I think for us, our differentiation against other retailers is to be able to find those things that you can't find anywhere else that are uniquely eBay. Some of those things are very, very expensive, but some of those things are that must-have item at a low price point. And giving that selection of opportunity and choice for consumers is really the balance that we're trying to strike.
And on your shipping costs, what's happening with shipping in your areas, and how is shipping costs changing this year from last year?
Well, for deals specifically, which I'll talk about, we have a 110% price match guarantee on every deal that's available on any other retailer or e-commerce site today. All of those items ship for free, so you don't have to pay anything. There's no subscription cost associated with it, and most of those items will be received to a buyer in under 3 days. So free shipping is a key part of our value proposition and a customer expectation across retail.
So it's very interesting listening to him talk. It goes without saying that he has some talent. He has some ability to really spin some stuff around, really make things sound good when you weren't expecting them to sound good, and almost like a politician, he steers the conversation the way it's meant to be going. Now, the thing that a lot of people don't realize with eBay right now is people don't want to work for eBay, which is kind of shocking to me, because I remember 10 years ago it was one of my dreams to have the opportunity to work for eBay. And even as short as 2 years ago, it was one of my aspirations to be able to do any type of live content with them, because their live content is absolutely atrocious. They don't even have the ability to put together something like this, which I find very, very shocking. It's obviously it took a lot of work, but it's not the hardest thing in the world. So when you see someone like him, who has the ability to speak under pressure, being asked hard questions, degating, getting the right answer, what we're seeing now is high quality CEOs like him. eBay isn't able to afford quality talent right now. And you end up going down this really odd funnel where you keep throwing money in and you just kind of seeing it going out the back end. You're not really getting any results on the front end. So it kind of, lends credence to the notion that things are going very much so south for eBay. And like I said, we don't know exactly how many people are being laid off right now, but if more than 500 people are being laid off, at some point eBay will have to make a public statement about that. I believe there's laws in place that require a company that's downsizing at that volume to actually step up and say something. So, yeah, just employees right now, quality CEOs, they're openly saying we don't want to work for eBay. They're losing that faith, because a lot of people who are coming on board right now, they're only lasting anywhere between 6 to 12 months, and generally it's because of no fault of their own. So something to keep in mind, something that I felt important to share with you. Next one up, though, we're going to be taking a look at an Etsy glitch. I know we don't talk much about Etsy here because there's not a whole lot that really happens in the world of Etsy. You get your items, you list them, you sell them, everyone's a happy camper. But Etsy recently had a glitch that occurred this last Friday, 2/15/19, and they said it was a non-security breach that occurred, and accounts were affected by a few hundred up to several $1,000. So if you're an Etsy seller, I strongly recommend you go check your bank accounts that you have associated with your Etsy account. People woke up to find that their accounts had been overdrafted, having withdrawals anywhere from the lowest one I heard was a $300 unrequested withdrawal, to a lady who had her account withdrawn $12,000. Could you imagine that? Waking up and seeing Etsy had charged you $12,000 for no good reason. Now, an official statement from them says an update on a recent issue affecting payments accounts on Friday. A bill payment error affected a small group of sellers, We know it's actually over 1,000, which resulted in some cards being incorrectly charged. Sellers who affected have been notified by mail or by Etsy conversation, which I would say definitely want to double check. Not everyone gets their emails or has access to those accounts. And the issue caused this has since been resolved. As part of the fixing the issue, all incorrectly charged cards have been refunded. It may take several business days for the amount of the refunds to come through. And in a later statement that they had today, and if you need the entirety of this statement, we can provide it for you or even read it right now. But in a later statement that came out earlier today, they said they will make things right with all sellers. They will cover any associative fees that you incurred, whether it be overdraft or, transaction fees or, any penalties that may have happened. They said they want to make things right. Okay, so that's something, it's kind of nice. I don't know if you guys remember back in, 2012 when eBay had their massive security breach and everyone's credit card informations got out. And what they do, they offered us 1 year of credit protection. That was it. And then at the end of that year, you were going to go ahead and have to pay the monitoring service after that if you wanted extended credit protection. So kind of a little bit of a scummy thing to do. Let's take a look at some of these comments real quick. Roger says, rip for buyout. He's referring to the eBay situation. I would say that there's still room on the table for a potential buyout, but I have no clue. I don't know who would actually want to buy eBay at this point. What company can look at eBay and say, yes, this is a value proposition? And I think this is part why Elliott Management was so insistent in saying that the brands need to separate, because the eBay brand by itself is actually decreasing the value of eBay. So StubHub needs to separate, eBay Classifieds needs to separate, and then in turn we can look at eBay on its own. We can allocate the correct resources to eBay to see that it actually grows and can potentially survive. So that's what's up with that. Also, I forgot to mention earlier too, guys, this is a live Q&A. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask them in the comments. We can pause what we're doing, we can answer any questions, and we'll have a section towards the end where we can go greater into detail on specific topics. But what we're going to do right now, let's take a jump to the next one. Now, you guys know I work with Prairie Grit. They're doing 70s week next week. I made another cool logo. The 80s week logo I made. The 90s week logo I made. This is the 70s week logo. You guys are seeing it first. It's not even out on the page yet. But if you haven't heard about them, they're show sponsors. You can follow the link right over there. I think Pam's going to drop it in the comments as well. You can get a free month. prairiegrit.com/free month. You can check them out. On top of that, they're a pretty cool platform. No final value fees. Try it out for 29 days. If you don't make any money, go in and cancel your subscription. Doesn't hurt anything. And if you do it, it does help out the show. So, next, we're going to have a one-on-one with the Bearded Picker on the topic of retail arbitrage. I know you guys enjoy these interviews. I took your guys' comments very seriously this week, and we've made some adjustments to this week's show. You might notice the pacing and the styling and everything is a little bit different, but I think it's good. I think it works, So right now, let's go ahead and take a look at that interview that we did with Scott Zilke, a.k.a. the Bearded Picker. Really nice guy. We'll make sure we put his information out there during the interview and towards the end as well. So stick around. Enjoy it. I'll see you here in a few. Thank you so much again, guys, for joining us for a special presentation. My name is Jay Kraft, e-commerce expert. Last week, we were joined by Joe Rensing of Conway Resale to talk about pallet flipping, and this week, we're being joined by Scott Zilke to talk about retail arbitrage, also known as the Bearded Picker. How are you doing today, my friend?
Doing great. Trying to recover from a long weekend of RA.
I saw some of the posts that you put up, and boy, did you get a lot of stuff. So for those of us out there who don't know, what is retail arbitrage, known as RA? What is it to you? How does it work?
Basically, it's buying an item in a store and flipping it on Amazon or eBay for a profit. Most of the time, people think it's clearance, and that's predominantly what I chase is clearance and discontinued products. But there are so many products out there that you can buy full price. And then those are kind of holy grail products because once you start locating them, you just buy them and send them in, buy them and send them. You don't even just buy them and sell them. Chasing clearance, clearance is going to end, and then you have to find the next clearance deal. You have to find the next whatever. But if you've got those products that you can just continually, hey, I'm low in stock, I'm going to go buy 30 more.
30 more of this, 40 more of that while I'm out, just because. Right. So you've been sourcing for a while. Now, were you always doing retail arbitrage, or were you doing some traditional thrifting before that and then switched on over?
I actually I did a year on on eBay full time before I found Amazon. I was one of those clueless people. I'm like, somebody asked me, why don't you sell? I was teaching a Sunday school class, and one of the guys in there goes, man, I do eBay and Amazon. How come you don't sell on Amazon? I looked at him. I'm like, well, I'm kind of embarrassed. I didn't know you could sell on Amazon. And this was early 2014, and we were going on vacation, and I'm like, I'm gonna read about it. I was already buying products and signing up before I came back from vacation. The allure of not having to clean stuff, and there's some when you're buying a lot of thrifted items and garage sale stuff. There's some, when you're just, hey, I'll take the sticker off and throw a sticker on it, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something nice to be said about just being able to slap barcodes off or onto the items and then fire them in. Now, are you doing FBA or are you doing all MF? What's your mixture like right now?
It's all FBA. I did Merchant Fulfilled. The big crazy video was like one of the few items, the Monopoly for Millennials. I take advantage of the fourth quarter because, not everybody can send in their Merchant Fulfilled, so you can find hotter products and take advantage of that curve in price. It spikes right after Black Friday and then it crashes.
Yeah.
So if you can get stuff in that, there's a small window, and it's very risky, but I actually played it pretty well on Monopoly games.
Yeah, now that Monopoly game in particular, that's pretty much how I heard about you. A lot of people heard about you. That video on YouTube accrued over 1.6 million views and counting. Give people a brief summary of what you did and how you gained that notoriety so quickly during that day.
As some friends, we hang out on all day when we're listening or doing whatever. And one of them said, "Have you heard about the Monopoly for Millennials game? It's in the news. The House of Representatives lady, Ocasio-Cortez, somebody tweeted at her making fun of her and for being a millennial, and he said, man, it's social media everywhere. So I started looking into it. I'm like, if I can get it. I started looking. I looked on used BrickSeek to find how many stores, and I started looking around. I called my buddy Shane, and I'm like, man, this product's gonna be hot temporarily if we can hit it this weekend. And he said, let me call he used to work for Target. Let me call my friends at Target and see what's up. They didn't have any record of it, and so that made it interesting that all of a sudden one of the major players on a Christmas season that's without Toys R Us for the first time doesn't have a game that's in the news. And so as we started looking around on BrickSeek, we noticed that less than half of the Walmarts had it. And we're like, oh, this is something that could carry. It takes the risk out of it when their supply is already limited. And the most we could find at any store was 36. And we're like, this is just, which is 6 cases. And we're like, let's go get it. And we spent, I always videotape whatever I'm doing. And it just happened to be, I got 4 hours into the trip and I was about to turn around and hit 3 or 4 more stores and come home for the night. When I get a call saying, have you looked at BrickSeek again? I'm like, no. He goes, our friend says, Birmingham is wiped out because it updates like every hour. And I'm like, because I was going to go to Birmingham the next day and buy them. And so Shane and I both made the decision because he was already out buying them by then. We spent the whole night driving, 22 hours in the car. I picked up 216 total. And since I can merchant fulfill them, I don't know, you get these ideas about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, let's sell some. And I put a $63 price on them, between $59 and $63. I let the repricer play with it. And 4 hours later, I sold 130 of them. And you start thinking, I got to ship 130. So I deleted it. I put it inactive and carried on with the video, picked up and the rest of them and came home.
Wow. Now, what was the peak price that you ended up getting? Did the market continue to go upward on them?
I was actually a week late into it. I have friends who were getting 77 for it. I called it at some of them at 63, more than half of it at 59, and the last 60 or whatever it was, 76. Most of them sold around 54 a few days later once I got into FBA, and then the last 20 I just dumped. I was going to keep them, and the supply kept going up, and Amazon came out with a a fee reduction. If you took it to less than $44.95, it was one of the bigger ones I'd seen. It was like 11% fee reduction.
That is huge.
Which was the equivalent of selling it at $54. So I'm like, nobody had taken advantage of it. So I'm like, hey, watch this, $44.95, they're gone. It kept a rank of about 800 in toys in the fourth quarter, which is crazy.
That's an incredible rank. Now let me ask. I know somebody on the channel left a comment. They did the math. How much money did you end up making across that 22-hour stint?
It was the first 130 was 20. It was like 2,600 there. The big thing with the video, all the comments were, he didn't account for gas. He drove 700 miles and didn't account for gas. I'm like, I live in the South. Gas is like $1.90 a gallon. I mean, how many do you think? I mean, it's like $50. And I don't know, it was like $75, but I ended up making like $4,300 on the games.
Wow. Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. Now, for somebody who's looking to get into the RA game, obviously, I mean, what do you tell them? You tell them go in and just start scanning things, or is there some general rule of thumbs for somebody wanting to start out?
Right. The first piece of advice is, everybody has interest, everybody, whether it's, it could be automobiles, it could be, you got kids so you know a lot about toys, whatever it is about, go scan that. So at least you can get your idea. It's easier for somebody to see it if they understand what it costs and can see the arbitrage, the difference, the high and the low. If you just send them to the makeup aisle and it's like me, almost 50-year-old guy, there's not a lot of, first there's no interest, and then the second, there's maybe not the understanding of the cost of the brands. And so you tell them, it's nearly the same as eBay. You tell them, hey, look up stuff around your house. Amazon, it's more of, hey, go to a store like a Walmart that's got a lot of stuff that you like if you're in electronics, games, whatever. And so they can understand and get a feeling for it a little faster.
Okay. And then beyond that, now we're in the section, we're scanning up stuff that we know. What kind of metrics should somebody be looking for when they see an item to be able to decide, should I pull the trigger on this item? And if so, how much? How many units? What is your go-to?
For newer sellers, I try to tell them the 3 times rule. If you buy it for 10, you got to sell it for 30. Because they don't understand. It's a lot to grasp, and they don't understand the volatility of the price and free pricers and all the complexities that is Amazon FBA. So if you give them that cushion of doubling their money, even if the price comes down some, they're not going to lose, so they don't get discouraged. It's the risk. You try to explain sales rank versus is really where the risk is, but even sales rank is very complicated because you're looking at a picture in time. You could have looked at if you got 2 books that are both 100,000, one could be selling enough to stay there. The other one could have just sold one and it's on its way back already. So it's hard to explain. So you try to give them the risk built in. You try to, depending on the cost of the item, maybe 10 or 20 max. I would tell them no more than 20 of an item. Just beginning and new is also a place where you teach them to spread out. How do you alleviate your risk? Do you buy 20 of an item, or do you buy 5 of 4 items? So with similar. So that's what I try to, until they get a full grasp. Yesterday I bought 137 Nerf Arrow refills. So numbers to me doesn't.
What kind of buy price did you pay on that?
They were on clearance for 97 cents plus 10% off.
Holy cow. And what kind of return do you expect on those?
They're selling for $14.09. They are $15,000 in toys.
That's a really good rank in toys.
$7.75 a package.
Wow. That's pretty nuts. Now, do you ever come across items like that are maybe light enough that it would justify doing MF over FBA, or are you just completely beyond doing that at this point?
Well, there's 137. I'm a one-man show. I run an eBay show, eBay store, Amazon, a YouTube channel. You just get. I've got a wife who is currently, is fighting breast cancer, so my time is just so limited. that merchant fulfill is kind of out of the option. It's all I can do to ship eBay when I sell stuff.
Would you recommend for people who are just starting out, though, to protect those margins? Or would you say just get used to doing FBA and keep it going that way?
I would tell them to do FBA because of one simple fact. Shipping on any platform is complicated, and to get it shipped with the right box, the right size box, and all those methods is difficult. And so it's much easier to allow Amazon to handle that in the beginning until you get a grasp on it, especially when you try to start explaining what cubic shipping is. And there's just so many ways to ship something. And if you're not careful, I mean, you can just drown. Your profit goes out the window if you don't ship correctly.
Yep. I've seen some of the most horrific shipping things, here within my profession. I had a ring shipped to me once. It was a nice tungsten carbide ring, originally retailed for like $250 at Macy's. I sniped it in an auction. I think I paid like $34 for it. Really nice piece. Lady spent $18 shipping it to me. After paying for priority, after paying for additional tracking, signature confirmation, insurance. I mean, I've never seen so many labels strapped to a $34 item in my entire life. And I just messaged her, and I'm just like, why? Like, why did you do this? Obviously never heard back from her, but you kind of feel for people like this who are just burning money. So
yeah, there was the post. I live in a small area north of Huntsville, Alabama. We have a one window post office, and the guy there's Jason. He's a great guy. He's always in the window, and he's like, man, you're never gonna believe what happened today. I'm like, what happened today? Because he's got they got stories. He said, I had an older couple come in. They've been selling on eBay. They were retired. They were trying to make a little extra money, and something happened that they couldn't. Maybe it was a PO box. It was something they couldn't use UPS, and when they brought it in here and paid for it, which is there's your first mistake you're paying at a location.
Retail.
The price difference between USPS and UPS, they couldn't believe it. They had been doing eBay for a year and shipped everything UPS. And they were. He's like, I wonder why we hadn't made as much money as I thought we should. Yeah, because
there's very, very few brands and categories that I can suggest that people utilize UPS. I mean, we're talking, pieces that are one-offs, pieces that are exceptionally delicate, and you really should have a private account with UPS if you're using them as your primary delivery method. You can get much better rates than retail, like much better, like almost a third of the price if you have your own account. But if you're walking in and paying UPS retail, that's a little bit nutty. Yeah.
Correct.
So we know, hit the stores, okay? Look for the clearance stuff. Work with stuff Pretty much scan everything, right? Scan everything that you can.
Right, and that's the other thing. You'll tell them. I tell a newer person, scan the whole aisle. Because sometimes they don't understand that. Like I was in Costco today, and I was just supposed to be getting 2 items, but I can't pass by. I was doing a little scanning until the wife started calling and saying, "Hey, it's time to go." And there was it was a women's bras. They were Pumas, and the small, medium, and large, they all had different price points. So if you did the medium ones, made like $8 on like 13, but the other 2 made like $1. So if you just scanned the other 2 and never got the medium, there's one in there there's a size that works. Same thing. There were some shoes. I scanned some shoes, and the shoes were the same way. The 8.5 because it's harder to find size because men's feet are not generally smaller. 10.5 is the average size. That one was lower than the rest of them. If you just started in the most common one, well, that's the one they produced the most of. And so the smaller size was, you made money on it, and the larger size you did not, which is. But if you get larger, like 13s, they do okay. But it's almost, I teach them when I'm doing toys. You want the odd toy. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Most people have heard of them. Most people understand that there's 3 guy turtles. There's there's their balls and everything. There's one girl, April.
Mm-hmm.
You always scan April because there's less of her because she's the only one.
Same thing with the Pink Ranger. You always scan the Pink Ranger because they don't make as many of them.
Correct, and I have to say it very lightly or whatever, but when you're looking at dolls, when all the Walmart clearance was out, I scanned Ken, none of the girls, except for the black girls, because there's just one, and it's the one because there are different variations of everything, but it seems to be only one of the different ones. So those are the ones that generally make money, and so that's what I end up selling a lot of it, and try to teach. You have to think it through and increase your odds by. This stuff is mass produced anyway, so of the mass production, what is the, if you're looking at all the Ben 10s and there's a character you've never seen before, chances are that's an oddball.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this: you've been doing this for years now. Okay.
Yeah, about 5 years.
5 years of doing this. Through your experience, and this is a question I love to ask people: what is the biggest mistake you've made so far, and what did you learn from it in those 5 years? Maybe
very early on.
Maybe even an item that you maybe snagged for no good reason.
Not doing some research about IP claims on Amazon to understand that certain companies, we talked about this a little earlier, certain companies file these frivolous claims much more than others. And before I looked one up, just scanning with the phone, go, hey, you're eligible. I started buying Bulbhead, and they're notorious for being, they send you a thing saying, we'll distract it. We'll take it off if you sign this agreement that you'll pay us. I think it's like $300,000 if you ever sell our brand again. It's something ridiculous letter you get, and I had bought.
What was the name of that brand?
Six Bulbhead.
They're
one they asked seen on. They're one they asked seen on TV groups.
Okay.
Like they make a lot of the shower lights that are out in the yard for Christmas. That's what I had. I had. That first year they were out, they were like super hot. They were only at
it was the rank 1, wasn't it? I remember.
Yeah, it was a rank 1, and
yeah.
you could pick them up for 45 to 50, and they were selling for like 120.
Yep, I remember that. Yeah, there was a lot of buzz in the groups about those.
When they went on clearance, I was picking them up for $12, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna be ready. I filled up like 6 large boxes full of these things. I had like 70 of them, and I got a couple of them in there thinking, I'll send in 4, 5, 10 and see what happens. Yeah, when an IP claim happens. And then I spend the time fighting it and bringing it back. And so now I'm trying to push this on eBay, which is the velocity is sales velocity. So it took 2.5 years to sell those things. And I lost on half of them, $4, $5, $6 just to get rid of them.
Wow. So now you said you pushed back. Did you choose not to sign any paperwork or just pull through the last year's stock? What was your recourse on that?
I did not. I started doing some reading and a lot of the Amazon forums and stuff to how to properly craft a response. And the one thing I kept reading was remind Amazon what their own rules are. I didn't create the listing. The pictures on the listing are Amazon property. The listing is Amazon property. Amazon sold on the listing, so the listing was, there's no violations of the listing itself. And so if you said I could sell on it and you sold on it and there was nothing wrong with the listing, and I had store receipts, which is store receipts. That was a couple of years ago. They were still pretty decent for that kind of stuff. But still, it was a correct store receipt that said exactly what the item was, so you can put the ASIN with it. All store receipts are not created equal, and so I was able to prove where it came from, and I was also able to remind. I guess I got a good rep that day who reminded them of their own rules, and they took it down.
That's pretty smart, pretty aggressive. Now, obviously, though, it doesn't always play out that way, and
No,
I don't want to delve too far into it with you because I know we're going to be talking about this on your channel, and by the time this interview actually airs, we will have talked about this 3 days ago. So people will provide a link for people to be able to check that out. But I guess just in brief, maybe not even going so much into Vero violations, copyright infringement, yada, yada, yada. When you walk into just general stores, what do you just stay away from? Like, you've been doing this long enough, I'm not even going to scan such and such category or such and such brand. What is on the top of your hit list?
Any of that whole Ads on TV group, they're not all Bulbhead, they're all On Tail and several others. Not only are they notorious for the IP claims, their quality is also notoriously horrible. You see these things and your return rate's going to go up, so it's going to cost you money, and then Amazon's going to investigate the listing because you've got too many returns, and that's a nightmare. I have a list that I keep on my phone so that to remind me which brands are. There's certain ones that are heavily restricted. HP is one you don't mess with. You can sell it on eBay, but you still have to be careful. There's just certain brands that you learn. Hey, Apple. I'm approved to sell Apple, but there's no way. They're highly counterfeited. That's the thing you got to think. CoverGirl, highly counterfeited. I don't sell on either platform. You just avoid things that think about if you've been in the flea market and you see a lot of them everywhere. There you go. That's your list.
While we're on it too, I want to make sure that I emphasize to people who are watching this, who are thinking about getting into this, thinking about doing FBA, that they're mindful that they don't have their inventory commingled, which is one of the things that can really get you into a lot of trouble. So if you are going to be going this direction, safeguard yourself. Don't commingle your inventory. And as Scott was saying, just be very diligent. I mean, the fact that you still carry list on your phone just shows that you take this very seriously. You're very smart about what you're doing.
Because some of the pictures I showed from Saturday on in the video of my sourcing Saturday and Sunday, somebody goes on Instagram, "Hey, that's a JanSport bag. Do they still send all the crazy?" They were sending out lawyer letters and everything else. I think there's a company called Voorhees. They're a lawyer firm that they've got like 230 clients. And I was like, it was a good topic because I said yes, I understand that's what they do, but you can sell them on eBay. They're not a Vera company on eBay, so as long as you accurately describe it and you know where you got it from, you can prove it. Yeah,
and it's an actual product, and you're not riding the coattails of somebody else's trademark to try and move an inferior or alternate product. You should be okay.
It should be okay. Yeah, they're backpacks. They're from a major sporting retailer who's clearancing out all of them. So,
So yeah, that those lights, that definitely sounds like a point of frustration for sure. Let me ask, over the last year, because you've been doing this 5 years, what's one of the greatest things that you feel you've gained for your portfolio of intelligence, the things that within this industry? Last year, what was the biggest thing that helped you along?
Last year I took advantage of the fact that I knew two platforms, and in April, after 4 straight years of every other week on the road and carrying on, I decided it was time to switch gears and went back into eBay. I had between 58 and 66,000 pieces on hand on inventory, and I'm like, on Amazon inventory, I'm like, hey, that'll work. And I spent the next 6 months doing eBay and let Amazon ride out. I didn't send a shipment in for 6 months, and was able to spend some time at home. My son, who was in college, was able to help me list through the summer. So we pushed the store from 60 listings to we're well over 1,000. We're closer to 1,200. It's still in the 700s now, but was just able to spend some time. It's a grind. I mean, it truly.
Yeah. Well, that diversification is key. We harped on that last week on the show about making sure you diversify your portfolio, whether that's alternate e-commerce platforms or whether, you're doing like Joe was doing and you have a local facility where people can come purchase stuff, or you're placing ads online. But yeah, the diversification. And the grind is also real. Go on. What were you going to say about that?
Yeah, it just, when I'm on the road, it was 4 or 5 18-hour days in a row. You just get worn out. And the one thing I love about reselling is the lifestyle you can build. You're one of the few places that you can design the business plan, and you're everything to it, and you can do it like you want to, and you should enjoy it. If that's the one thing somebody's got to enjoy reselling and that kind of stuff in order to be good at this. And when it was starting to feel too much like after so long of a grind and a job, and I just needed to find that. There's another reseller here. We spent all summer going to yard sales together. I just needed to find my, for lack of a better way to explain it, my joy in reselling again. I needed some recharge, and I needed something different for a while.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. The person that actually introduced me to you, somebody that I've worked with in the past, he was telling me about a specific bolo and saying like, hey, you can go out, you can get this, this item right now. You can make $20 a case on this item. It's at this store, this store, and this store. I'm like, cool. And he's like, and then like 2 days later, he's like, did you go get any? And I said, no. He's like, how come? And I'm like, I just don't want it. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, you're a reseller. You want the money. That's what we're here for doing. I'm like, there's a reason why I go to the swap meet every weekend. I enjoy the open air. I enjoy interacting with people. I enjoy the negotiations process. I enjoy the mystery of not knowing what I'm going to find. I don't enjoy scrolling through things on my phone, going to this store, this store, this store, this store, spending a whole day inside of a car or waiting in line. Can you make great money doing it? Of course. I mean, look at you. Look at your situation and the people that you're working with. You can make great money. But for me, it doesn't bring me enough joy. And so when you say you're talking about doing more yard selling because it makes you happy, I mean, you have to. You can lose your sanity real quick because, it's like if I offered you a job flipping burgers and told you I'll pay you $40 an hour. It's great money, but you just don't want to do it.
Man, I watched people do that for 25 years. That ain't enough money.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, because at the end of the day, I think we're old enough that we understand that the money is more of a means to an end, and it gets us to where we need to go.
And I think you're calling me old. I understand that.
I said we. I'm bundling myself in there. I'm 33 myself.
Yeah, but in a short 6 weeks, I'll be 50, and there's a. It's not a midlife crisis, but there's a point in time where time becomes more important than money, and it truly does. And I've only got another year and a half with the kid in school, and he'll be off being a rocket scientist of some sort. He's an aerospace engineer, and it was great timing. It was because my wife got sick, so it was nice to everything was already changed. So there was no change. I'm switching back now because I need the time back. The difference between eBay and Amazon is really you can level up on Amazon as a one person. It's much harder to level up on eBay, even though there's great money on eBay and as a platform, it's still a viable option. But and with FBA, it's like you're hiring somebody. It's like, somebody to do that fulfillment side is for someone who I've managed employees for 25 years. I don't want employees. But
it's like having a working partner,
Right,
you say,
correct.
okay, I'm going to handle the sourcing and I'm going to pack it up. I'm going to ship it out to you. You got the rest? And they're like, yeah, we got this. I'll do customer relations. I'll do pack and ship. I'll handle the invoicing and payments. I'll take care of the rest. So it is like having a partner in crime. And I'm right there with you in the sense that, we can essentially go get an infinite amount of dollars. As much as we're willing to work, we can go get as many dollars as we want, but we have a finite amount of time. And, I am only 33, but I do feel that already. I do feel like the days are getting a little bit shorter and zipping by a little bit quicker day in, day out. And, so and people are a little confused by it. I tell them, like, the money isn't nearly as important as it was even 5 years ago once you get to a certain point. Because once you have, someone like yourself, you probably have tens of thousands of dollars put up in the bank. Each additional dollar you just kind of throw onto the pile. A dollar you may not spend for another 10 or 15 years. It just doesn't carry the same weight as having a full day off.
Yeah, the one thing I would tell people is retail arbitrage is a disease, and it's hard to shake. I mean, for the first 4 years. The travel was fun because, working in restaurants for 25 years, you're in the same spot all the time. So I was somewhere new at least for the first couple of years. There was very, the first couple of years I was like 50,000 miles a year in a car. I was everywhere. I've been in 39, 40 states doing this, chasing stuff. And, just now lately have I stopped to sort of smell the roses, with Mount Rushmore, and there's a video on Niagara Falls. I'd go through these places and never see the sights, except for a Walmart or whatever store I was chasing. And, I'm a little more deliberate now that when I'm doing stuff.
Yeah, no, I understand that completely. For me, when I'm doing my out of town sourcing, or I try and get more out of it. I try and make sure it's a town that I want to spend a day or two in. I make sure I have somebody to either work with or visit while I'm out that direction. make it half vacation, half work. Try and get the joy out of the situation. So
no, that's extremely important, because it's important to understand that, especially when you're. I'm sure it's not just resellers, as anything else. When you're doing something you absolutely have a passion for, it can consume you, and you have to at some point step back and set some boundaries, and then set some. If not, that job you're trying to get away from, you just created it, and it's all the freedom and all the stuff that you allured you to reselling or whatever your passion is, has suddenly taken it all back, and so you have to be very careful.
Balance is key. Even myself, I'm trying to get into a new routine now where I spend 4 hours a day working, 4 hours a day fitness, whether disc golfing or climbing or whatnot, and then 4 hours a day on recreation, things that I personally enjoy doing, whether it's reading, writing, drawing, reading some news articles, whatever it might be. I try and split my day up that way, and then the rest of the day just goes to movement and eating and nonsense. But
Right.
that balance is so key. Not only for personal health, mental health, and all that, but financial health too. It's if you go like you're saying, 10, 12, 15 hours a day, several days in a row, that burnout's real, and some people don't bounce back from it.
Yeah, that was the reason why I was taking the week off between, because when I got home, I would not do anything for the next week, so it was kind of made up for not being around the week before. But still,
what ends up happening is you work your ass off for a week, you make $4,000 in that week, then you take a week off. Now it's like you made $2,000 one week and then $2,000 the next, and it's like, well, I probably could have gone half power last week, done my $2,000, enjoyed my time off, and then half power this week, made my $2,000 and enjoyed my time off, and that balance. You can come out ahead, believe it or not, working less and making more. Especially through things like we talked about, diversification. So, Scott, I appreciate you so much for coming on and sharing some of these RA tidbits. Now, the big question everyone's going to want to know, how did they get in touch with you? Because you have some big stuff going on over on your end.
yeah, they can find me on YouTube. The beard, or I took the off, just Bearded Picker, and I've teamed up with Shane and Wade. We're doing a Patreon where we're trying to help people. There's a level where they can get personal help from us. The phone just rang, so I'm gonna call someone back in a minute. But there's also we've come up with a company that's allows us to text out bolos as we're in stores, and so they're getting real time information. Even though like today I did not buy the items in Costco, but you can't stop. I can't stop looking. So if I find something, I send it out. I send a couple of them out saying, "Hey, you guys, here's a grocery item. Here's this." In Costco, if you remember, Costco doesn't care how much you buy.
They prefer you buy the entire shelf, honestly.
If you want the pallet, they're going to ask you where do you want to load it. And so YouTube's the easiest way. I'm actually before the show, I'm actually building a website, so which will have everything where it lands together.
Now, your Facebook page, that's how I was able to get in touch with you. I'd actually recommend people go check that out, too. Where's that at on Facebook?
It's just Scott Zilke. It's just there's a
your Fortunes page.
Where Fortunes and Reselling.
Yes.
Yeah. That's our Sunday show. There's we got a 5-panel. It's now 6. We had another 6 of us on a panel show, and then Shane and I do a show Friday night. So we throw everything in there too because we didn't want to have 2 of them.
Okay.
So but Fortunes and Reselling, it's just a lot of information on eBay, Amazon, social media, whatever you need help with, you can post questions in there. And there's a lot of people, a lot of knowledge, and we answer questions as well. But that's a fun place.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure that we get all those links down in the description as well. And thank you again so much, Scott, for coming on air with us. And we look forward to our next discussion with you.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Well, I'm back. That was a pretty cool interview. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're doing our best to try and mix up who we bring on air. And those of you who don't know, Scott Zilke, Bearded Picker, is actually live on his channel right now. So if you get an opportunity to, and you're feeling a little, a little bored, a little variety, jump over to his channel, drop a comment, tell him Bolorama just sent you over to say hello. I'm sure he would appreciate that greatly. So if you don't mind taking the moment to do that, thank you for that. So again, I do want to thank him for being on the show. Make sure you check out his interview and the channel and everything. And if for some reason you missed part of that interview and you want to catch just that interview on its own. It's it's a standalone video on my YouTube channel. It'll be available in 5 minutes from now. You'll be able to go back and watch that interview by itself without having to fast forward through this entire show if you want to see it or if you want to share it with somebody else. So yeah, you'll give them a hello if you got a moment. So what else do we have going on? I'm going to bring up my other slide, see if that video plays.
Yesterday.
Yep, it'd like to play on its own. So I'm going to work on that. We're trying a whole bunch of new stuff right now. So what do we got up next? So somebody asked for this. They said, hey, can you take a moment? Can you go back through some of the posts that you had throughout the week? You know, I'm a little bit curious what your thoughts are, like extended thoughts on some of the other things that happened during the week. So I've kind of got them laid out. I know what they are. You probably can't read them too well unless you're on a giant monitor. But all the way over there at the end, we see a thing with eBay Motors. eBay with motors.co.uk, and not a lot of people commented on that. I understand not many people are too excited in the world of eBay finance, but when it comes to M&A or mergers and acquisition, it's something that I like to follow very closely. This comes right off the heels of them purchasing Terapeak less than 3 months ago and making that public for everyone. So to see them buy another company right now after they're already struggling. Now, obviously, this is going to be part of their eBay Classifieds, which is a brand that is holding its own very well. I just think they need to stop spending money. They need to stop buying stuff right now. They need to restructure. And also, I know there was a bunch of questions during the interview. If you have questions about the interview, you have questions about other stuff, don't be afraid to ask them right now. I promise I will get to all of them as soon as I'm done covering a few of these stories. The next one up was one to the left. I didn't know that was a nutcracker. I just wanted to put that in there so that way you guys know if you find something while you're out in the field and you don't have the foggiest idea what it is, take a picture of it, post it to the group. Somebody will jump in and give you a hand. It only takes a few seconds to do it. And the more posts that we get on our group, the more traction we can get. And in turn, it helps the whole page grow. And then up off to the side here, I put a little poll together and I asked you guys, what would you like to see more of? And the number one overwhelming response was, I want to see more pickups. And I want you guys to know that the pickups have been so garbage because it's been raining and it's been, even today it was hailing. And today was one of my swap meet days. So I go out to the swap meet on Saturday and Sunday out here. It's the only 2 days that they do it. And when I get rained out or hailed out, it means I don't get as much stuff. Now, some of the thrift stores, which I found rather surprising, when I surveyed this area before I moved here, I found them to be robust and overflowing with goods. I did one test and then another test 30 days later, and that is in no way, shape, or form representative of what I am seeing now. It feels like the thrift stores are just being stripped bone dry, and it's really frustrating that they're not as good as they were originally. But that doesn't mean that I can't continue to try and restructure and reassess the situation and see if I can get things back on track. One of the other posts that we had was, the one that's directly behind me. It was in regards to bad information in other groups. We talked a little bit about that earlier. If you see something in another group and you're not too sure about it, screen cap it, bring it over, post it to our group. And I know some groups will say, we don't want people screen capping our stuff. Just tell them to kick rocks, okay? Because it's all about the benefit of the sellers is really what it is. We need that accessibility and information to make sure that we can all succeed together, and that type of information should be open flowing, which is also the second thing that people asked for more of. You all said, I want more training content. Now, last Friday on the Rise and Grind YouTube channel, I was on there with Shane and Bearded Picker, and I spent almost about a half hour to 45 minutes on the topic of Vero. Vero being the Verified Rights Owners Program. We talked about copyright, trademark, and patent infringement, and the differences between the three, what you need to do to safeguard yourself, and how to tell if you're being sued. And believe it or not, I'm working with a client right now who is being sued. He is most likely going to be getting sued, and we're working together to try and rectify the situation. But it's very important to understand that situation arose because of bad advice. Okay, so it's very important that you ask people who know what they're doing, and if you're unsure, continue to ask, continue to press, continue to try and get those correct answers. What do we got going on here? We got some links. eBay keeps trying to put keeps trying to back their buyers instead of their sellers. 100%. That also leads us to this one over here that was posted by Georgia Kurtz. Super sweet. I believe that's Georgia, right? Yeah, Georgia posted that. I actually got to meet Georgia once. I don't know if you saw our little sit-down interview. It's on my YouTube channel. You got to search for it, though. Somebody remind me to add it to the interviews tab. But she talked about a decline in her sales. And I've actually been following this for a while now, and there's a lot of people that are talking about a decline in sales. And part of this has to do with suppressed listings. Believe it or not, people's listings are being suppressed, and we don't have a clear answer as to why. eBay said that they're aware of an issue and that they are going to do what they can do to fix it, and then they said they fixed it, but it doesn't seem like it's fixed yet. There's some people who are reporting they're going to people's eBay stores, and they're only seeing, or they're doing search by seller, and they're only seeing 70 listings. And they have to go to the person's store and then click on see other items to be able to see the 1,000+ listings that they have. So as we said before, and as I emphasized a lot on the other channel that I was on, it's important to diversify. It doesn't matter if you are adding on Amazon, if you're adding on local, if you're adding on Etsy, Posh, Mercari, or our channel sponsor Prairie Grit. Diversification is key. You're going to want to be in as many categories as possible. So just be mindful of that. Don't put all of your eggs in the eBay basket, because of all baskets to place your eggs in, the eBay basket is probably hands down one of the worst baskets to put your eggs in. So if you guys have any questions, now is a fantastic time to ask them. I do have a moment in between slides to chit chat with you about that stuff. Do we have any more slides? Here, we'll just leave this one up for now. I know some questions were asked during the video as well regarding pirate ship. If somebody has those questions available now, I'll be happy to answer them. And then also on the topic of Prairie Grit, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those as well. I'm just going to read through some comments while we are waiting. Roger says, I offer free returns and get several, but most are used when returned. Yeah, see, I won't offer free returns. I commend anyone who has the interest in doing that, depending on the product, and I know Roger, he works with a variety of products, and some of them have very, very good margins. Like if I was to work with a specific product, let's say I was acquiring it for 30 cents and it cost, the consumer $12. Yeah, I could probably afford shipping in both directions and slap free returns on there, and then in turn increase sell-through rate. But a lot of the stuff that I'm sourcing, I don't really have those kinds of thick margins on. And then Pat says, no, it's not luck. I've just the way my store is structured. Pam says, that's awesome, Pat. I have only had one return as well. I go above with customer service. Yeah, that customer service is very, very important. And Pat says, and actually I've only had one Vero warning also. And it's important to know, Pat, if that Vero violation is a recent one, you are going to want to do everything in your power to remove that from your account. Don't just look at the warning and say, it's a warning. No, you want to push to get that removed, because it can bite you in the butt later. My guy got a warning, and then a month later, he got suspended, a permanent suspension. We call it a NARUD, not a registered user. So be very, very mindful of that when you're dealing with Vero. Pat Sand says, but I'm wondering what kind of customer service for the sellers that Grit has. It's domestic. So if you have an issue, you send a message and it will go directly to the owner, or it will go to one of the customer service personnels that are here domestically. And that's what's one of the big selling points with Prairie Grit, is that if you need help, it is just a couple of clicks away and you can actually be speaking with somebody and getting the help that you need. Even as of right now, Sean Herrick, the owner of Prairie Grit, is actually sitting in the video that's streaming on Bearded Picker's channel. He's sitting in the comments answering questions right now that people are having about Prairie Grit. So that's the thing. You guys can see that right now too. What else do we have? Yep, that looks like that is about it. Like I said, guys, we're working a new format here. I don't know what happened. We just lost like half of our viewers, but hopefully they're just going over saying hello to Bearded Picker, and then they'll be running back. I'm going to get a little water, guys, and then we're going to take a look into my pickups for the week. We're going to have to switch over to this one right here. We're going with the green background. We're going to be wrapped up here soon too, guys. I'm working on a shorter format show, which means I'm going to be trying to produce more content throughout the week. I've been very, very busy with Prairie Grit, so it's a little bit difficult to try and fill out a full 2 hours, especially when I haven't had much luck sourcing stuff, purely because of the weather and because my stores are getting hammered by other resellers again. Stone's Throw, hey all, late again. Yeah, You're an hour and 3 minutes late. It's grossly unacceptable. But you can replay this video and watch the whole thing again. So you kind of got that going for you. So let's take a look at some of the items we got. We got a couple of duds. We got a couple of big winners. It was fun. I got to go to the swap meet for about an hour and a half before it started raining. No BS. I loaded up as much stuff as I could. I moved as quickly as I could. I just tried to get stuff done. It was tricky, though. It was very, very tricky. So we're going to take a peek at some of the items. I actually have some items here from the week before last that I forgot to show. I'm just going to kind of hammer through them real quick. We have a handful of different Assassin's Creed figures, and these are actually pretty high quality. I don't know if they're NECA. I haven't looked into the brand. I'm going to be keeping some for a friend of mine. She has a son who loves Assassin's Creed, so some of the ones that aren't worth too much, I'm going to go ahead and be passing along. And I really want to stress, these are very high quality figures. And we talked about before, you want to look at the number, they call them points of articulation, which is pieces on the figure that move. So if you have elbow, wrist, shoulder, head, waist, leg, knee, ankle, like if all those different points move, it's generally a more expensive figure. It's always going to be worth the trouble to look them up. I was able to get all of those together. I think I paid $7 for them. So I know that one of them, one decent one, is going to double up my money, and then the rest of them are going to be pure profit. I've sold a few of these. This is a Mighty Mugs figure. I believe this is either... Oh, God, you guys are going to hate me. It's not on the bottom. It's either Han Solo or Indiana Jones. That's what I'm going with. One of the two. Maybe I'm going to go Indiana Jones. Screw it. So that's who I'm guessing this guy is. Most of the Mega Mugs... Somebody's saying Hanson Solo. I don't know who that is. A pop singer from the 90s. But, yeah, so... I think I'm going to get, I don't know, $15 for it. I paid 50 cents. I also picked up a Halo figure while I was out there. Again, a whole lot of points of articulation. This is probably just going to go on the pile of figures and stuff that I have, but it's something. And then this really cute Little Mermaid pin, it's going into the personal collection. Yeah, something I found. Whoop-dee. Nothing, like I said, nothing too thrilling on that, but we have a couple of interesting ones coming up as well. It's Hans and Franz. If that's the whatchamacallit, the beer pouring German duo, right? And that's another thing too, guys. I don't know if you heard about the laws changing in Germany regarding shipping packaged goods. Oh my gosh, this is something that I'm going to have to spend several hours figuring out. But if you are shipping to Germany right now and you're shipping items in quantity, you need to be aware of the new laws that just recently passed. So be mindful of that. It's so weird, but long story short, when you send something to a customer, and like I said, I'm still gathering all the details. There's a lot of German that's being translated over. If you send over a package, you have to have it set up so that you can get that package back, plus the container that the item is in, you need to get that back as well. So it's a little bit crazy, but we're going to get some more stuff going on. K Baxter, Carolee, I believe. Hey Jay, can you put your cool background back on? I can, but green items disappear. So which one are we talking about? Are we talking about, here, let me make sure, that one right there? Are we talking about this background, or are we talking about this background? Because like I said, here's the problem, okay? And I'm working on this, but green items, they just completely vanish. And then, oh, that green works. Okay, we'll try it. We'll try it for now. And we'll see if we can make this work, unless you meant the black one, which we can try that one too. But I have all the stuff for a new set, guys. I wish you could really understand how small this room is and the space that I'm working with. I am trying hard to get it fixed up, but every single day I've had another project land in my lap. I shot a special welcome video for Prairie Grid. If you guys want to see it, I'll play it. I'm really, really proud of it. It took so much effort to put it together and make it beautiful and make it work. It's super corporate. It's on my YouTube, but it's unlisted. But I've been working on a bunch of stuff like that. Pat Sand says, how extensive is the customer service for sellers on Prairie Grit? Well, I'll tell you what, if you send a message right now to the Prairie Grit customer service line, my phone will go off, okay? And if you really need help right now, okay, I will send you my phone number and I will work with you and I will help you through your problem. That's how extensive it is. And if you don't want my help and you want the help of Sean Herrick, the owner, Sean Herrick will jump on. He'll send you his personal phone number and he'll help you out over the phone. That's how extensive the customer service is. And then we're also building a full series of training videos to ensure that sellers are successful on the platform, including the one that I made yesterday. It's really, really good. It covers a lot of stuff. It covers, I mean, it's stuff that any seller is going to want to know on any platform, but it's tailored for Prairie Grit. So yeah, let's see what else we got. This is a weird one. Let me get all these darn action figures off my desk. You know, sometimes I buy things and I'm just like, why am I buying this? And I'll lay it out for you how it happened. So I walk up and I see this retail price tag, and this is an Amazon desk, or one of those Amazon counters, and I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll look it up. And I look it up, and it's actually worth $40. And if you guys can't tell, I managed to get quite a few of these things. Okay, see, this one has the $40 tag on it too. But the thing is, like, I work with some of these sellers, and I tell them, I'm like, hey, you've been doing this swap meet thing for a while now, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, how many times have you had somebody walk up to you and say, hey, do you happen to have any Yakima Q Clip 131s available for sale right now? And she's like, what? And I'm like, well, that's my point. And I'm like, do you have anyone coming up to you asking for, luggage rack accessories? Obviously she doesn't. And I asked her how much she wanted for these, and she told me $4 a piece. And I'm like, that's not bad. And if I had to, I totally would have bought them all for $4. And I tell her, hey, 2 of them are missing a piece. Okay, and here's the stack of them right here. We got 2, 4, 6. I got 7 of these bad boys. Okay, and I'm like, what's the best you could do for me on all of them? Now keep in mind, 4 at 7 is $28, and even if we dock out the 2 that have nothing, we're still looking at $20. I'm like, what's the best you could do for me on these? She looks at me and she says, $10. Great. That's fantastic. I'll go ahead and take every single one of them. Here's my phone number and call me if you get any more. So I'm always happy when I get stuff like this. Let's see what we got in the comments here. The reason I ask that if I've ever had a problem on eBay, I just call and ask him to help me, walk me through that situation, whatever the situation is. I have to read further up to make sure I understand what's going on right now. Yeah, there is a message window. And yeah, so yeah. I mean, I can't sit here and really, I don't know how to explain. I can't sit here and give out, too much conjecture regarding the type of customer service you're going to find at other brands. You know, I try and keep everything really, really fact-based, and I can say that when we look at E-Commerce Byte's recent poll regarding the customer service experience on different platforms, that eBay didn't rate very well comparative to some of its other competitors. And one of the primary complaints that people hear is that a lot of the customer service is offshored. A lot of it's coming from the Philippines and Thailand and even India. So that's the number one thing that I hear. And with Prairie Grit, we're looking to keep 100% of the customer service domestic. And that's the plan. And we're really, really looking to do that. And as we scale, it's going to be a little bit harder, but I just don't see a reason why it can't stay that way. I mean, you know, you train up a couple of people to know what they're doing. And then, you know, you find somebody, I don't know, you find somebody deserving of the job who loves America. You know, find probably a veteran, somebody who's looking to work from home. Train them on how to, answer customer service inquiries on a PC, and then there we go. That's all it really takes. I don't know why more American brands aren't willing to do something like that, because I don't think it's a hard thing to do. So, yeah, let's take a look at our next piece. Hey, you guys know I buy wheels all the time, right? Every single week I'm coming on here with wheel-related items. Yeah, no, I don't. I've never bought anything wheel-related. I think I bought one Volkswagen hubcap once, and I'm like, I'm never buying hubcaps again. That thing was so heavy. It took forever for it to sell. I didn't really make anything. I think I broke even. Well, I bought a genuine Boyd Coddington wheel cover. So this is like a cap cover. And I bought the full set, and I don't think I would have bought it if it was a single. Some guy was trying to sell a single for $25, and I've seen these sell. I've seen people sell sets anywhere between $80 to $120, and these things are in okay condition. The bushings are a little bit rough on them, but overall they're in good shape. I think with having all 4, it wouldn't be foolish to ask $100 on the 4. I should get it. The worst case scenario, I'll take $70 and still make 10x my money. So I got no complaints with that. But again, this is another one of those things. If you see sets, you see something that looks like it's in good condition, something you're unsure about, take 2 seconds and look it up. And here's the thing about it too. I watched my roommate Daniel. He goes to the swap meet with me every single week. He walks in front of me. I want you guys to know that 100% of the stuff I get is from walking behind my competition. Like, he is literally like a couple of booths ahead of me at all times, and I intentionally go slow. Like I said on Scott's show, is that if you've done the effort of waking up, brushing your teeth, getting dressed, getting in a car, driving all the way there, finding a parking space, paying your admission, dealing with the rain, and now you're there, why are you going to run through it? Why are you going to race through it? Look up everything. It's like getting value out of your day. It's like free training. So you might as well look up everything while you're actually there. So yeah, I got these. I guess keep your eyes open for Boyd Coddington wheel covers. Yeah. But even if you get a single one, you're going to get 20. And now if they're chromed, that's another thing to note. If they're full chrome, in better shape than mine, you can get up to $150, $180 for a full set. So another item to keep your eyes peeled for. And while I was at that booth, I paid $7 for those, and I asked if you could throw this in as well. I got an Alpine remote. This is for some type of stereo. I don't know. And this is what I tell people too. You don't even have to know what half your stuff goes to. As long as you can test it and make sure that it works. All you need is a cell phone to test a remote control. If you don't know how, just message me later and I'll show you. But yeah, so I think this is about $15, and I got this bundled in with those wheel covers. So this will probably sell before the wheel covers, so I'll get my money back right away. Let's see. Pat sends, I have noticed that you get different answers from different eBay quote-unquote specialists. Some aren't good. I don't know if you were here right when we started the show up earlier, but we work exceptionally hard to make sure that we offer a fact-based experience here. And whenever we do get into the realm of conjecture, I really try and make sure that it's obvious conjecture. But there's certain things that are consistently true on the platform, and there's other things where people will say, well, I've done this and this has worked for me. And I am very, very sharp about swatting those things down unless we have empirical data to prove it, including things like promoted listings. I can't sit here and concretely say that promoted listings work because eBay will not give us the data to show whether or not it works. So I'm not in good conscience going to tell everyone, yeah, all of your listings should have promoted listings on it. But now the conjecture side of me says, well, if you want to put 1% on them, you'll increase your exposure by, 100%. You'll have 2 visible listings instead of 1 per search. So if you want to pay 1% and have your listing show up 2 times, you're welcome to. Will you sell more stuff? I can't guarantee that. Now, will you theoretically sell more stuff? Sure, I guess. But it's up to you whether or not you want to give up that 1% for that second impression. And anyone who tells you that, yes, 100% promoted listings helps me sell more items, they're lying. They cannot prove it. And if they say, well, I saw a bump in my sales, and I saw my sales go up the first week that I did promoted listings, great. We can't prove that because eBay will not supply us with the data. And even Elliott Management, the hedge fund firm, said, we need to be able to provide empirical data to sellers, especially if we're going to make promoted listings one of our fastest earning means of revenue for the company, or it's just not going to stay that way. Pat says, yeah, I have never promoted a listing on eBay. Yeah. She says, out of all the different resellers that I've been watching videos past 6 months, I have yet to see anybody, by the way, that I buy. I'm sorry, I'm not following that comment, but if you want to resend it, I'll be happy to read it on air. Next item up, and I appreciate your input too, just so you guys know. If you haven't liked the video yet, please do. It helps. And if you haven't subbed yet, please do. We're like 8 subscribers or 9 subscribers away from 800. It'd be really, really great to hit that tonight. Joe says, with the percentage of people using promoted listings, I feel I have to. Yep. I feel that way too. And here's the problem too. It's just making the platform look ugly. They talk about wanting to simplify the buying experience, and they said they want to go to a visual buying experience, and they want to make it so that buyers can find the items that they're looking to find even faster. How is that helping if I have to go buy everything 2 times to be able to get to the item that I'm trying to find? It's not worth it. I would actually pay extra money to be able to navigate eBay easier. So, Roger says, my data says it doesn't help much. Yep, I agree with you. And, I'm sorry if I misgendered. I apologize. With names like Pat, it's very difficult to discern if it's a male or female. Mindy's identifying Pat as a female, so my apologies for that. I think Pat's saying she doesn't buy items like any of us. Oh, yeah. So a lot of the people that are here right now are coming across from Scott's channel, so they're doing a lot of RA, retail arbitrage. Totally get that. And there's some people that watch this who do primarily that, and there's some people who do a little bit of each. I rarely do RA. And the type of RA I do is big money type investing. So, the last suggestion that I made for people, there was actually a few. One of them was the Ravnica Mythic Editions, Magic the Gathering. These are $250 a box when they launch. They're currently $300, $310. Very small uptick right now. The market's a little funky on it. The other item that I suggested for people was the Magic Ultimate Masters booster box. I bought those at $245 a unit, and they're currently right around $410 a unit. I know what you're thinking. You're like, how can you do that? I bought $11,000 worth. So, my goal is to wait till they get to 500, and rather than buying, an absolute ton of, candy or, droppers or whatever RA item you're doing, I'd rather do one buy with one specific SKU and buy a absurd quantity of them and wait for them to go up, because when they double up, I'm not doubling up on, $100 worth of investing. I'm doubling up on $11,000 worth of investing. So, an $11,000 profit for me is more lucrative. So I have the long-term stuff I do, and then I have short-term items like this Tetris Radica game, and this thing's pretty cool. Oh man, you see what I'm talking about? This is what I'm talking about, these funky colors. Here, I'll hold it. No, we can't do that. We'll switch back to it here in a second. So this Tetris, it's a handheld Tetris. Now, these vary in pricing wildly, okay? Even for this specific edition, this is a 2005 large screen Tetris. Now, Tetris is popular right now, like big time popular. Why? Because we had a guy who just recently set 2 world records in the world of Tetris. He was the first one to reach level 23, I believe, and then he also just dethroned the world champion at Tetris after that guy was like the winner for like 12 years in a row. And this kid's like 19, and he was like crying buckets after he won, and I don't blame the guy. I mean, he's sharp as all heck. So Tetris is hot right now. Now, people who have priced this incorrectly many times, I've seen this go for $9, but if it's priced correctly and cleaned up, you're going to get $25 to $30 for this bad boy, especially right now. Definitely don't follow the low trends on anything Radica. Try and follow the high trends, because the sell-through rate on Radica is generally pretty darn solid. Another thing to bear in mind when dealing with Radica items, they use a membrane-style button on the background. Make sure the buttons work. Take the time to test it. Make sure they're clicky. The ones that are supposed to be clicky, okay? And then they get your return. So this, and I forgot to give you the margins on the other one. So I got 7 items of those clips. That's $300 worth of product. I paid $7, so great return on investment on that one. The caps, I'm going to make another $90 on after shipping. This I'll make another 15, give or take, bucks on this one. So I don't do the RA, but I can assure you, for a single day's work, my margins are generally on point with people who do very, very serious levels of RA. I'm Pat from Saturday Night. Questions for Prairie Grid. Don't mind me, I'm just reading up on comments. I'm going to try and take them up on the 29-day offer and see what I can do. Just remember, if you do sign up for Prairie Grit, sign up for the plan that works for you. If you change your plan during the middle of the month, it's going to void out that free month. So some of the offers go up to $100 a month for unlimited listings. So if you have a high volume of inventory you want to bring across, we recommend that you do that. And then what else? All I know is that there's no right or wrong way to sell things. There's so much out there. Not any right or wrong way to do anything. There are wrong ways. There's a lot of wrong ways to do things. Like I said, I have a client right now who's being sued because he did things the wrong way. And that's why I'm such an advocate for transparency and seller intelligence, because there is far too much misinformation out there. And like I said, I'm not looking to call out any creator. I'm not looking to call out any group. All I'm saying is that be very, very mindful of the information you get, because bad advice can cost you everything. Like I said, I'm very worried for my client right now. It's going to be a long and arduous process if we can't get them to reverse the Vero ruling on the account. He's never going to be allowed to sell on eBay again, and that's his livelihood right now. So, yeah, there's a lot of platforms that do it. But anywho's, let's take a look at the next item. We got a few more. Let's see if we can we get away with this here? Okay, I think we can get away with the nice looking office backer. Let's play a little music too. I feel like we just got to chill things out a little bit. I think everyone's just getting a little too serious right now. Let's play a little background music, right? Okay, so don't use USPS shipping. Don't use UPS shipping over USPS. Yeah, never use UPS. Only time you should use UPS is if you're shipping something that really needs to sit on a shelf when it's being delivered. And make sure you use the link, Pat. It helps us out. If you just go to the main page, we don't get any credit. So please use the link. And if you want, send a message to the page and say, "Hi, Sean." Just really, or excuse me, if that's what you do, yeah. Send a message to the page, say, "Hi, Sean," and he'll be happy to hear from you. And let's see what else we got. I thought there was a bee in my box for a second. Scared the crap out of me. So what do we got next? We got this really, oh God, of course, typical green item, huh? Every single time. So we got a Heroscape set. Now you guys saw that I had one of these before. The set that I had before was predominantly a terrain set, and all the pieces inside of it were new and they were wrapped up, and I paid like $3 or $4. I ended up making $50 on the thing all in all, but it didn't have any of the figures with it. Well, this one I bought has a whole bunch of, oh God, it's just gonna pour everywhere, huh? It has a whole bunch of figures in there too. I don't know if I can get them out or not. They're kind of creepy. Oh, shit. Okay. They're kind of creepy looking. I'm not gonna lie to you, but people buy this stuff. There's still a base of people who play this. So yeah, real creepy looking. But yeah, I have no clue what it's worth. $40, $50 again, most likely. I can probably even sell it local. There's a bunch of local board game groups that you can shift some oversized items in and still make some good money on it. Stone's Throw says, "I have bins of Heroscape in the attic." You got bins of cash in the attic, okay? Go ahead and pull those down and get those listed, okay? And I saved the best for last because I'm a nice guy, and I know you all appreciate me saving really, really cool items. And it's not often that I get something really, really good. I kind of make my bucks on a lot of smalls, and I make my bucks, here and there. And now this isn't like a home run. It's not like I'm making, I found $1,000 model or anything. But I get happy when I find something that's worth bucks, and I'm hoping it's fully functional. I don't have a cable around here to plug it into, but I will test it soon. This, holy cow, that's heavy. And if I'm a rock climber, I don't think I would have been able to pick that up. This, anyone recognize that brand? Not the Ross, not the vintage Ross, which would be a little bit crazy. But it's a cool pack, and it has the power cable on the side. You aren't going to believe this. I was a little surprised to find this at the swap meet. Oh, I bet the anticipation is just great right now, huh? Oh, man. I bet you're so curious as to what could possibly be in here. Oh. Ready? There's a Ross 4x4 4-track cassette recorder. So it has all the input jacks down here at the bottom. It has all the control dials, and believe it or not, this is how they would mix cassettes back in the day. You could actually make a master original off of this by jamming 4 different feeds into here. The guy says it works. The counter had a 9 on it before I pressed the reset button. This button's a little bit soft. 3 of the dials need to be replaced or just marked as being broken, but I went through and I turned all the knobs and I moved all the sliders. Everything seems like it's going to be fine. I would be very, very surprised if this didn't work the way that it was supposed to work. It's very heavy though. But thing to note though is that every single one of these that has been listed on eBay over the last 3 months has sold. Parts units sell for $60, but fully functional ones or near functional ones sell anywhere between $300 to $350. Now, what I'm going to do, this might sound like me just kind of, being a little bit of a shill here, but I'm going to list this thing on Prairie Grid. And you're probably thinking, why? Why are you going to list it on Prairie Grit? Well, there's none available on eBay right now. And there's none available on the internet right now, period. So, if anyone's looking for this, because I can guarantee that somebody is looking for this right now, you know what's going to happen? They're going to find it on Prairie Grit and they're going to buy it there. Because like I said, there's none on eBay. And the big advantage of that is that I'm going to get to make all the money on this. So I'm going to list this for $350 on Prairie Grit. And it's just going to cost me my monthly cost to be on the platform. And I'll get 100% of that money minus my 3% PayPal fee. So I'll lose $9 on it. So I paid $20 for this. So it's going to cost me $29 in total. I stand to make $270 on this single item. So that's why I like being a thrifter. I enjoy it. And if nothing else, the parts ones that were going for $60 didn't have the power supply. I guarantee you, I could get $60 or $70 for that power supply on its own. Maybe another $40 for the bag if I really wanted to. So money, money, money. Can't beat that. What else do we got? Why are people talking about breast pumps? What's going on? I look away from the chat for just 1 second. You guys are just like off on something. So that's my pickups for the week, guys. If anyone has any questions, now is a fantastic time to ask them. Yep, Mindy loves that unlimited. Look away, Jay. Yeah, you know, you guys have a private chat to be able to have these types of discussions. You don't need to be, you know, on the public YouTube. So, while I'm here, I thought now would be a great time to talk about Patreon. Those of you who don't know, this channel is 100% Patreon sponsored, which means that if it wasn't for you, the wonderful patrons that you are, listed here on screen, and I apologize if I'm blocking you, then this show just wouldn't exist, okay? We're looking to do improvements to the show every single week, whether that means better equipment, better lighting, better, you know, whatever. And it's the funding that helps us get there. But you get some fantastic perks. Not only do you get to be a member of our group chat, where you get to be able to communicate with other sellers throughout the month, you also can qualify to get these really, really nice thank you cards. And we ship these out to you. These are high stock, high quality thank you cards, and they're custom. They will say your name and how long you've been a seller on eBay, and you can mail these out to your customers. Now, if you do not want ones that say eBay on them, we can get rid of the eBay. If you have a different brand, let's say you have a personal brand, a company that you own, and you want to have your own company brand over here, if you send over a PNG, we can customize these for your brand as well. And this is a thank you gift for being a patron and supporting this show. Because without you guys, oh man, I guarantee you, 100% guarantee you I wouldn't be doing this. No, I'm kidding. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy helping you out. I enjoy being a part of this wonderful YouTube ecosystem and, I don't know, having fun with all this. So it's going to happen either way, but your patronage allows me to do it and not have to worry as much about going out and sourcing stuff. And just for the sake of transparency, we have finally hit the break-even point. We consider break-even the cost of $100 per episode for production. Those of you who don't realize, this episode took over 6 hours, not including the interview. This episode took 10 hours to produce for you this evening. There's a lot of work that happens on the back end to ensure that everything functions while we are live. And as you can tell, no disrespect to anyone else's productions, we put a lot of effort into producing a high-quality live product for you. So, how long will it take to get 500 listings onto Grit? So, Pat, if you go through to my YouTube channel and go back about 3 or 4 days, we have a video that showcases Prairie Grit and the import tool, and it'll show you how to do it, and it'll get you those specifics on it. A lot of factors are going to be determined by the number of photos you have on your listing and the size of the photos that you have on there. Let's see. Roger says, I'm doing unlimited too, and we appreciate your support on that as well, Roger. Can you have more than one store on Grit? You can, but there's really no need to. I've never understood the reasoning why people would do that. Because if you have a $100 store, you can just list unlimited stuff. And here's the thing: if you have, this is a great thing too to throw out there. If you have 2 eBay stores, you can import everything from one eBay store, disconnect that account, import everything from the other eBay store, and if anything sells on either one of those eBay stores, it automatically delist off your Prairie Grit account. Which is kind of nice, right? So, thank you, Pam, for putting that link out there. I think we covered everything this week. Let me make sure we have a look here. I have 2 more notes here. It says, make sure you check out Rise and Grind's YouTube channel. I was just on there this last Friday speaking about Vero. I went deep into discussion regarding Vero. So if you have any questions regarding that, that's a good thing to go check out. Oh man, my music ended. I'm taking requests on copyright-free, royalty-free music that I also happen to have on my computer right now. So if you have any requests, now's a great time to put those in. DJ Mr. Bolorama is in the house right now. Scritchy scratch. Okay, and what else? I'm working on acquiring new gear to make streaming out in the field more viable with hopes of getting more funding to make it a reality. So there's a new camera that I really, really like. And my problem is, if you guys don't know this yet, streaming out in the field is very, very hard. If you haven't seen it yet, the gear that I have to use to be able to stream out in the field, not only is it big and heavy, but it requires my cell phone as well. So this is what the gear looks like right here. So this is a electronic stabilizer that allows the image to stay in one spot while I move my hand. It's called a gimbal, and this connects to my phone and allows me to stream. There's two problems with it, okay? One, it's big and heavy, and after about an hour of carrying this out at 4 arms distance, it really, really wears down on you. And two, it denies me access to my cell phone, which means that I can't stop and look things up while I am streaming. I literally have to pause the stream to be able to do that. So we're looking into alternatives right now, and if I do get an alternative, I will sell this one for as much as I can, recoup that money, and put it towards the next device I get. But additional funding is going to help us get things like an Osmo Mini, which would allow me to have my phone, have access to my phone, and have the camera out there. And then we're also exploring options that include getting a cameraman, just somebody who can walk around and follow me while I shoot, and then getting me mic'd up, and then getting me on my own cell phone, so that way I can be able to source and show you live in the field exactly what's happening. You can be able to see how I'm doing my negotiations and everything like that. So yeah, that's where we're going right now. We're trying to get the gear and everything put together, and yada yada yada, you know how it goes. So last chance, guys, last strike. You guys got any questions before I jump off air, before you guys head over and check out Bearded Pickers channel or anything? Let me see if we got any new subs that we can say thank you to. Thank you to Greg Nykirk, Sarah K, and Marcus Tube 80 for subscribing to my channel. We are really getting there, guys. Let's see how many subs we have right now. I am curious. And I think maybe next week we might be doing a little bit of off the grid. We are at 793 subs. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. A big thank you to them for helping with this channel growth. I know a lot of people are going to be coming back and watching this later, because this show overlaps directly with their live show on Sunday. There's not much I can do about that. We may adjust the time so that we can work together a little bit better with the user base that's watching both. So I think that's everything. Let me check. Oh yeah, one last note. It says plug everything. So you guys know about Patreon. You guys know about the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Bolorama. We do also have an Instagram, and we talked about Prairie Grit, and then we talked about Pirate Ship. So you guys know about everything. I do need a drone following me. I would love to hire a drone operator to be able to follow me. So once again, guys, this has been the Sunday Reseller Roundup for February 17th, 2019. It's been a heck of a time. Thank you so much for joining in. And if you enjoyed this show, and if you'd like your name in the outro, please consider checking out our Patreon so we can stay on the air even longer. It's been a blast. Don't forget, we will be back next Sunday covering the topics you want us to cover. If you have something that you would like some additional training on, or you have something that you would like more information on, please let us know. And remember, guys, if you don't make that money, someone else will. Have a great night. You know what's real crazy is that I'm still actually here. And I was just wondering how many of you would actually stick around after the outro. And you're probably like wondering, wow, what the heck is he doing here? So what I'm going to do for you right now, for those of you who are nice enough to stick around after the outro, okay, I'm going to go ahead and premiere the welcome video for you, which I wasn't planning on doing, but you guys are real nice. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that welcome video right now. And this is just a welcome to Prairie Grit. This is unlisted, so if you need the link for someone you know and you want to share it with them, okay, then you can do that. So let me get this. It's going to take me 2 seconds to get this set up. I have to, and you're going to see things kind of jump around a little bit. So let me get this set up really quick so that way you guys can check out that video. I want to make sure I've got it. There it is. Okay, so it's on my desktop. Give me 1 second. So we have to, I'm trying to get this going on the fly. So we're going to switch over to this one. And we're gonna do the properties on the overlay video, and we're gonna browse it. We're gonna do the PG welcome. Okay, it's gonna start playing, but I'm gonna stop it immediately just so you know. Oh, maybe it isn't gonna start playing. Okay, so transform, fit to screen. So it should start playing and cover up the entire screen. So let's see if this works. If it does work, enjoy it, and if it doesn't work, I'm sorry. Well, let's see. It's 8 minutes long, but I'm kind of proud of this. Hello, my name is Jay Kraft, and I am part of the affiliate management team with Prairie Grit. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and thank you for coming on board to become a seller with Prairie Grit. We want you to know that this company was founded by sellers for sellers, and we are going to be doing everything in our power to see to it that you are successful on our platform. What we've done is we put together this video to cover some of the key points that we feel that sellers need to embrace to be able to be successful on the platform. Now, obviously, it's your business, your way, but it can't hurt to get a few pointers here and there, and if you take a minute with us, I can assure you it's going to help increase your sales volume. One of the first things we like to talk with people about is making sure that you get as many items on the platform as you can. Whether you're using the eBay import tool, the Etsy import tool, other ones that may be coming in the future, or if you're manually placing your items onto Prairie Grit, the more items you can get on any selling site, the higher likelihood you will have of selling through inventory. It's found that on average, most sellers sell anywhere between 1 to 2% of their inventory each day. So if you're a seller with about 100 items online, you can expect to sell 1 to 2 items a day. But if you're a seller that only has 20 items online, it may be 1 every 5 to 7 days, respectively speaking. Now, if you have 1,000 items online, obviously you could be looking at anywhere between 10, 12, as many as 20 items a day, obviously depending on the category and the velocity of said items. So bringing over as much stuff as you can, it's certainly going to help you out in the long run. The second thing that we suggest for you is to make sure that your listings are in the correct categories. Prairie Grit has gone through great trouble to make sure that the website is optimized for Google search. What that means is if buyers are looking for items within Google Shopping, our items and listings are going to index higher than a lot of our competitors, and part of that is making sure that we have very robust titles for our items, as well as having the items placed in the correct categories. I know it can be a little bit time consuming to find the right categories, but rather than sending everything in and putting it into the collectibles category, we recommend that you use the tree, the options one below another, to get the items into the right place. That little bit of effort on the front end will result in more sales on the back end. The next thing that we want to talk with people about too is making sure that you have very high quality photos. Now, we're not saying go out and take go get a red 4K camera and shoot these super crisp, mega large photos. But what we're saying make sure the pictures look pretty. Make sure that they're appealing to the consumer's eyes and they give an accurate representation of the item that you have for sale. If they don't look the part, it's going to dissuade some buyers from converting over and actually purchasing the items. So we will in the future be doing tutorials to show how to take even better photos than what you may be taking right now, even with very, very basic technology. 3-4-year-old cell phones and some basic lighting will go a long, long way when done correctly. One of the other things that we want to talk about too, and this is something that can very easily be looked over if you don't watch this video. If you're someone like myself who has brought a lot of items across from competitor sites that have final value fees associated with the items where you're paying a fee on the back end, It's important to understand that at Prairie Grit, there's no final value cost. So where you may be paying anywhere between 10 to 15% to sell on other platforms, you won't be paying that here. Which means if you bring your items across, mark your items down on Prairie Grit, and sell them here, you will actually make more than if you sell them on other sites that are out there. Which means when I bring my stuff across, I mark everything down 5% right off the bat. Reason is, I sell it for 5% less, I make more money, and I get increased traction and visibility within Google Shopping. My listings index very high as the search bots go through and find my listings. So give that some consideration. Just remember, if you sell it for less here, you do make more money than with other sites. The next one that's important to talk about too is letting others know that you're on Prairie Grit. So whether that means actually capturing the link and posting it to social media or even emailing it out, if you can get that extra visibility within Facebook, Instagram, Snap, wherever you do your social media work, placing those items up there, not only will it help with the indexing of the listing, increase the rank of that listing itself, but just letting more people know that the platform is out there, letting people know that you actually sell on that platform, that's going to help overall. If we all work together and we all make sure that everyone knows that this fantastic option is available for all sellers, we're all going to succeed in the end. This is the great thing with Prairie Grit. Founded by sellers for sellers, and enough sellers band together, we can make something really special happen here. The next thing that I want to talk with you guys today about as well is that we do have a lot of training content coming up for you. We're going to be covering everything from search engine optimization, staging of photographs, sourcing for inventory. We've got a ton in the works. You're definitely going to want to make sure you stay tuned for the Prairie Grit live videos that will be returning back soon, once a week on the Prairie Grit Facebook page. It'll be a fantastic opportunity to ask any questions that you might have live with me and Sean Herrick, the owner of the company. And if you have questions that you need answered right away, don't be afraid to message the page. Somebody will get back with you as quickly as possible. We've had a ton of signups as of recent, so if there's a small delay, we definitely apologize for that, but it's going to be as quick as we can possibly do it. The next thing to understand, too, is that if you do sell an item on Prairie Grit, or let's say you have an item that you've imported from eBay, and the item sells on eBay or sells on Prairie Grit, it will automatically delist off the other platform. You don't have to worry about going through. You don't have to worry about double sales. It's all taken care of for you on our end. We get all of that handled, and unlike other sites, it doesn't cost anything for us to be able to do that for you. One other thing, PayPal and Stripe are available here on our platform. You're going to want to pick the one that best suits your business. Most of us are using PayPal, but it's important to understand that Stripe is actually the second largest payment processor in the world. And there will be people who prefer checking out with Stripe and some people who prefer checking out with PayPal. Both of those options are available to you, and they don't cost anything extra. Another thing of note that's important to realize is that if you have an item that is legally allowed to be sold online, we welcome you to sell it on our platform. I do know that other platforms are very restrictive and they kind of come up with their own rules as far as what they do and don't want on the site. But with us, if it's allowed to be sold online, we welcome you to sell it here with Prairie Grit. And then the last thing that I want to let you guys know too is if you know anyone else that is interested in helping grow this brand, helping us find more sellers, even yourself, if you're interested in helping us find more sellers, please message our page. We have opportunities available, whether you're a recreational seller, whether you're somebody who's working at maybe a flea market or a swap meet, or you have an antique store and you have a lot of people you're working with, or if you're even an influencer via social media or a video networking platform, please reach out to us. We have some great opportunities available for those who are looking to help us grow. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I will be seeing you again very, very soon. It's kind of spiffy, huh? Bet you weren't expecting that tonight. So, yeah, I worked on that yesterday, better part of like 4 or 5 hours. We got it out there. We want to make sure that people just had a little more guidance when they were starting, because I understand whenever you start a new platform, it can be, I guess, scary, especially when you're putting your time up for stake is what it is. You may not be investing money initially, but you're investing your time, and we want to make sure that we get a good return on our time. So I felt it very, very important to make something for new sellers coming to the platform. So that video is going to be included with every welcome email that goes out. I'm probably going to tighten it up a little bit more. There's a few things that are a little off that I feel I could fix up before the final release. But yeah, that's what I want to get done. And I'm actually unsure on that one. Somebody else asked that in a message the other day, but I didn't have an opportunity to do a little research on it. But yeah, just go ahead and message the business page, and Sean will get back with you within a minute or two. He's on standby right now because we're getting inundated with new members joining because of the promotion that's happening on the other channel right now. So yeah, feel free to ask him. He's live and ready to rock and roll. So we already did the we'll probably play the outro again because it'd just be a little bit weird not to. So I guess not a fake out this time. Thank you all so much again for watching. Thank you for those who stuck around past the first one. And remember, if you don't make that money, somebody else will. Have a wonderful evening. And yeah, I'll see you next Sunday. Thanks.